On the journey of life, it is not always easy to understand where God is leading us. There are crucial passages where we have no choice but to surrender our desires to Him. Like on a mountain path, sometimes we find ourselves in a cloud where the feeling of uncertainty and loneliness prevails. How many times have we stopped in amazement, unable to understand the meaning of what is happening, perhaps wondering why the Lord has placed us exactly there in incomprehensible situations? It is the Lent, not only in the weeks that prepare us for Easter, but in all the times when we feel that we are dying, in all the times when we are waiting to be resurrected. If we look closely, this is exactly the journey proposed to us on the second Sunday of Lent. In those days, God tested Abraham. Take your son Isaac, your only son, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah. There you shall sacrifice him as an holocaust on the place I will show you. These words always difficult to absorb, even though we have heard them who knows how many times, evoke reactions bordering on rejection. But can God ask for such actions? And when it is pointed out that God does not command Abraham to kill his son, but test him, that is, wants to test the level of his faith with the ram caught by his horn in the bush already ready, when it is explained that in that time and in that region of the world, the sacrifice of the firstborn was customary, so that the test of the patriarch consisted in the fact that this son was the only one and was obtained by God after years of promises, this negative reaction is not erased. We are left with the disturbing question: can God make such demands? And the even more disturbing question: can God make such demands on me? The answer is yes. God can make such proposals. In fact, He makes only such proposals, and He can make only such proposals. The test that God asked Abraham is to see if his faith is a total yes, without even a tiny little no hidden away in a corner, or if it is a no. And what better way to find out if the yes is a total yes than to ask for the willingness to sacrifice his only son, born of the promise? This is it. In faith, no percentages are allowed. God cannot be trusted 70, 90, or 99%, because the rest, no matter how insignificant, sets everything else back to zero. And who has such faith? Everyone has it who, while constantly asking, can the Lord ask me this? Or more often, why is the Lord asking me this? Transforms these questions into a heartfelt but confident prayer to always have a gift, a ram tied with its horns in a bush, for an offering in proportion to our strength, so meager in comparison to Abraham's. Faith, in fact, is not a heritage bought, found, or conquered, but a constantly renewed decision to leave one's own country and go to the one God is pointing. In this going, God watches, comforts with a Mount Tabor for us as well as for the apostles. In our own small way, we are always there, because it is always the contradictions, difficulties, and inconvenience of life that test our faith and ask us to sacrifice our Isaac. That is what we value most, what we think we have earned. what seems cruel to lose. When our faith is tested like Abraham's, we lift up our eyes like his to be sure that there is also for us a ram with his horns tangled in a bush. Our ram, the assurance that if there is no room for percentages in our faith, there is absolutely no room for percentages in God's love for us. The disciples are also enveloped in a cloud, a sign of the incomprehensibility of God's action, but while they are inside the cloud, they listen to the voice of the Father who gives them the fundamental direction for our lives, or already foreshadowed at the moment of Jesus' baptism. This is my son. Listen to him. And this is what we have to do when we go down the road of misunderstanding. Listen only to the Son. And if we are afraid to go back on the path, if we are afraid to lose this presence of the Lord that we have experienced, there's no need to be afraid. It is not worth building tents, hearts to enclose and fix what we have experienced. Instead, it is necessary to get down, to continue walking. If God is for us, who can be against us?